1700s to the mid-1800s, an industrial revolution began in Great Britain and spread quickly throughout the world. Industrialization changed the way people live their lives forever.
The first major cause of the revolution was population growth. Population growth grew in the 18th and 19th centuries because of disease resistance and more reliable food supplies. People married earlier and had more children due to more job opportunities. Secondly, an agricultural revolution began as crops from the New World were brought to Europe. Potatoes were much more productive than wheats and oats, and maize was grown all over Europe. Additionally, turnips, legumes, and clover were fed to cattle, sources of meat, milk, and fertilizer. Finally, trade and technology experienced improvements. Roads were improved for faster travel, and trade grew overseas. Sugar was the most profitable trading item, and porcelain, dinerware, demand increased, as well as clothes such as cotton and silk. Educated people became highly interested in innovation and technology. The French Encyclopedia had crafts and manufacturing articles, and the expeditions were sent to collect profitable plants. Electricity experiments occurred, and the hot air balloon was invented, and the Sempremore telegraph was created. Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin to increase manufacturing production in the Cotton Kingdom in the South United States.
Industrialization began in Great Britain because of its fluid political and social structures, transportation infrastructure, inventiveness, and society open to talented and enterprising people. Social classes were not as separated, intermarriage was common, and people were able to buy land or positions in the parliament to rise in social class. Additionally, regional specialization was encouraged for a unified internal market. Other governments soon followed Britain's example and created technical schools, eliminated internal tariff barriers, tolls, and other trade problems, and encouraged joint stock companies and banks. Industrial booms were based on iron, cotton, steam engines, and railroads.
Because factories needed workers, women were able to have jobs. However, they had no benefits and were paid far less than men. The work environment was highly stressful too, with long hours, little food, and overcrowding. Many factory workers faced serious health conditions.
5 innovations from the technological revolution led to industrialization. First, the division of labor into simple, repetitive tasks led to the mass production of many goods and luxuries. This practice was first done by Josiah Wedgwood, who produced fine quality pottery. Wedgwood also bought the first machine to be put in a factory. It was a steam engine that mixed clay and ground flint. Second, merchandisation occurred when machines were used to complete tasks that were originally done by hand. This first began with the spinning jenny that drew out cotton fibers and twisted them into thread. A later version of the jenny required a source of power such as the water wheel, so it was called a water frame. The next innovation was in the iron industry. Abraham Darby discovered that coke could replace charcoal, which led to an expansion in the size of individual blast furnaces. Later, iron was used with glass to create the Crystal Palace greenhouse. The fourth innovation was the steam engine that transformed fossil fuels into mechanical energy. James Watt later improved this machine so that the cylinder did not have to be cooled and heated all of the time. This also led to the expansion of railroads in Europe, Asia, and North America. Finally, the electric telegraph was invented by Alessandro Volta, created the vacuum. Samuel Morse created the Morse code so messages could be transmitted over a single wire with this machine. The innovations in technology allowed industrialization to occur all over the world.
Now it's time for Fun Facts with Malachy. The Industrial Revolution started in Great Britain.
The Industrial Revolution had a huge impact on the world. and changed many societies in many ways.
One major impact of the Industrial Revolution was the new technologies developed during the Industrial Revolution. These new technologies, such as the steam engine, cotton gin, and water frame, made mass production of goods possible and much easier and cheaper than ever before. Since products were being mass-produced and shipped faster for less money, it allowed more people to have access to new technologies and made businesses and households more efficient because of this easy access.
There were many organizations and adjustments made to society in response to the Industrial Revolution. Workers' unions were created to help protect the workers in the factories. This was created because during the Industrial Revolution, workers had very little protection from those they worked for. Many laws were passed in response to the Industrial Revolution, such as the Mines Act of 1842 and the Factory Act of 1833. These laws were also created in response to the awful working conditions present during the Industrial Revolution.
Another major effect of the Industrial Revolution was that there a major population increase from when the revolution started. At the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, the world's population was around 700 million people, and at the end of the Industrial Revolution, that increased to more than 1 billion people. Large amounts of people also moved from large urban areas such as London and New York in search of work, and this increased the population in urban centers made demand for the creation of additional housing and work.
During the Industrial Revolution, food supplies skyrocketed because of new agriculture technologies and techniques. This advancement in agriculture is called the Agricultural Revolution. These advancements in food production and storage led to a population increase during the Industrial Revolution. But after the Industrial Revolution, Britain experienced a time period called Hungry 40s, where a decrease in trade and economic activity led to an increase in price of food, which remained high for years because of the new corn laws that kept the price of certain foods high.
The Industrial Revolution led to the creation of many types of economies, such as the laissez-faire capitalism and the utopian socialism. In a laissez-faire economy, it is believed that the government should play a very small role in the economy and investors should be able to make gains at a reasonable risk. Whereas in a utopian socialism economy, it is believed that if everyone is equal, there would be decreased social tension. In the utopian socialism, there is much less risk, but also much less chance of gains.
Welcome back to Fun Facts with Malachy. The Industrial Revolution also brought wealth to the middle class. Isn't that fun, Billy?
No.
Before the Industrial Revolution, life was very different. Women stayed in the home doing household chores and raising children. Men ran all of the businesses, and many men had farms that grew most of the food for the family, and others ran businesses in the small towns and cities. The lines between classes were very distinct, too. Peasants were born as peasants and died as peasants. They could not move up in society. Landowners and merchants held most of the power in Great Britain, and their wives often helped with the family business. After immense population growth, an agricultural revolution, and a technological revolution, society changed forever.
Though the revolution created many opportunities for factory owners to become wealthy, the gap between the rich and the poor grew indefinitely bigger. Women and children started working in factories with poor conditions, long hours, and low pay. Unless a person was wealthy, they lived in dirty, harmful tenants with a lot of other people. Over the years, conditions grew continuously worse with overcrowding and population in the cities. The only real beneficiaries of the Industrial Revolution were the people of the middle class. Entrepreneurs quickly rose through the manufacturing business. Middle-class women were removed from the business contracts by the code of domesticity, so they stayed home to manage the servants' children in the house.
Additionally, people began to believe that the government should not get involved with economic affairs, a belief known as laissez-faire, and politics shifted from capitalism to mercantilism. The belief of positivism believed where people thought social and economic problems could be solved by the application of the scientific method.
2 facts for you. 1, that cat did not like me. My other fact is, the Industrial Revolution brought poor working conditions for all the workers. Isn't that fun, Billy?
Industrialization occurred, the roles of women in different classes changed and differed from each other a lot. Working class women were not able to stay at home and care for their children. They needed to be in the factories working and earning as much money as possible in order to help support their families. In contrast, middle and upper class women were expected to stay in the home much of the time. Due to the cult of domesticity, women of wealthier families were completely removed from the business world. Their new role consisted of activities that took place mostly at home. These women had to care for the house, watch over the servants, and care for children, while their husbands traded or ran businesses and factories. Because of the Industrial Revolution, the class line between women of the working and women of the middle and upper classes became more distinct than ever, and these two groups of women had roles that were polar opposites of each other.
Welcome back to the final Fun Facts with Malachy. This also is a 2-fact edition. Our first fact is, the Industrial Revolution brought the steam engine, which led to faster production. Our second fact is, some countries didn't industrialize